Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, where we're enjoying life like anything in the association of the devotees, reading Caitanya-caritämrta. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur offered this poetic prayer or poetic glorification of the Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. In due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Okay, we're right in the middle of the Vrindavan pastimes acted out in Rath Yatra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates relishing life by staying absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord. We begin with text 92, chapter 14, Madhya-lila, Caitanya-caritämrta. Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, and all the other chief devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took lunch at the invitation of Advaita Acharya. 93. Whatever extra prasadam was brought by Vaninath Roy was taken by the other associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the afternoon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Gundicha temple. There's a surveillance helicopters going over to check us out just to make sure we're in line and still reading Caitanya-caritämrta. Hare Krishna. In the afternoon, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the Gundicha temple to visit the Lord and dance. At night, he went to the garden to take rest. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also went to the temple of Gundicha and saw the Lord. He then chanted and danced in the yard for some time. Accompanied by his devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went into the garden and enjoyed the pastimes of Vrindavan. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has pointed out that this Vrindavan Bihar, the pastimes of Vrindavan, does not refer to Krishna's mixing with the gopis or the transcendental mellow of Parakiya Ras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Vrindavan Lila in the garden of Jagannath Puri did not involve association with women or with other people's wives in the fashion transcendentally demonstrated by Sri Krishna. In his Vrindavan Lila, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conceived of himself as the assistant of Srimati Radharani. When Srimati Radharani enjoyed the company of Krishna, her maidservants were very pleased. One should not compare Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Vrindavan Bihar in the garden of Jagannath with the activities of the Gauranga Nagaris. The Gauranga Nagaris are a Sahaja sect, Upper Sampradaya, deviant Sampradaya, or separate, gone away from the real Sampradaya, who put Lord Chaitanya in the middle of the rasa dance in their dramatic performances and in their trying to enjoy one another. So these pastimes have nothing to do with the Gauranga Nagaris. You don't put Lord Chaitanya in the middle of the gopis because he's Krishna. He's Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani in the form of a sannyasi who's come to give us love of Godhead by Nam Sankirtan. If we mix those two ideas, we become serious offenders in the transcendental service of the Lord. Serious offenders, not transcendental loving serving devotees of the Lord. Text 97. There were multifarious trees and creepers in the garden, and they were all jubilant to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, the birds were chirping, the bees were buzzing, and a cool breeze was blowing. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced between each and every tree, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced beneath each and every tree, Vasudev Datta sang alone. As Vasudev Datta sang a different song beneath each and every tree, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced there alone in great ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Vakeshwar Pandit to dance, and as he began to dance, the Lord began to sing. 101. Then devotees like Surup Damodar and the other kirtan performers began to sing along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being inundated with ecstatic love, they lost all consideration. Being inundated with ecstatic love, they lost all consideration of time and circumstance. After thus performing pastimes in the garden for some time, they all went to a lake called Narendra Sarovara, and there enjoyed sporting in the water. After sporting in the water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to the garden and accepted prasadam with the devotees. For 9 continuous days, His Lordship Sri Jagannath Dev stayed at the Gundicha temple. During this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also stayed there and performed the pastimes with his devotees that have already been described. The garden of his pastimes was very large and was named Jagannath Vallabha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took rest there for 9 days. Knowing that the Hera Panchami festival was drawing near, King Prataparudra attentively talked with Kashi Mishra. 107. Tomorrow will be the function of Hera Panchami, or Lakshmi Vijay. Hold this festival in a way that it has never been held before. Purport. The Hera Panchami festival takes place 5 days after the Rath Yatra festival. Lord Jagannath has left his wife, the goddess of fortune, and gone to Vrindavan, which is the Gundicha temple. Due to separation from the Lord, the goddess of fortune decides to come to see the Lord at Gundicha. The coming of the goddess of fortune to Gundicha is celebrated as Hera Panchami. Sometimes this is misspelled as Hara Panchami among the Ativadis. The word Hera means to see and refers to the goddess of fortune going to see Lord Jagannath. The word Panchami means the 5th day and is used because this takes place on the 5th day of the moon. Text 108. King Prataparudra said, "Hold this festival in such a gorgeous way that upon seeing it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be completely pleased and astonished. Take as many painted cloths, small bells, umbrellas, and chamaras as there are in my storehouse and in the deity's storehouse. Collect all kinds of small and large flags and ringing bells. Then decorate the carrier and have various musical and dancing parties accompany it. In this way, direct the carrier attractively. You should also double the quantity of prasadam. Make so much that it will even surpass the Rath-yatra festival. Arrange the festival in such a way that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may freely go with his devotees to visit the deity without difficulty. Text 113. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his personal associates with him to see Lord Jagannath at Sundarachala. Purport. Sundarachala is the Gundicha temple. The temple of Jagannath at Jagannath Puri is called Nilachala, and the temple at Gundicha is called Sundarachala. Text 114. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees returned to Nilachala with great eagerness to see the Hera Panchami festival. 115. Kashi Misha received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great respect, and taking the Lord and his associates to a very nice place, he had them seated. After taking his seat, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to hear about a particular mellow of devotional service. Therefore, mildly smiling, he began to question Swarup Damodar. Although Lord Jagannath enjoys his pastimes at Dwarkadam and naturally manifests sublime liberality there, still, once a year, he becomes unlimitedly eager to see Vrindavan. 119. Pointing out the neighboring gardens, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, all these gardens exactly resemble Vrindavan. Therefore, Lord Jagannath is very eager to see them again. 120. Externally, he gives the excuse that he wants to participate in the Rath-yatra festival, but actually he wants to leave Jagannath Puri and to go to Sundarachala, the Gundicha temple, a replica of Vrindavan. 121. The Lord enjoys his pastimes day and night in various flower gardens there. But why does he not take Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, with him? 122. Swarup Damodar replied, my dear Lord, please hear the reason for this. Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, cannot be admitted to the pastimes of Vrindavan. 123. In the pastimes of Vrindavan, the only assistants are the gopis. But for the gopis, no one can attract the mind of Krishna. Text 124. The Lord said, using the car festivals as an excuse, Krishna goes there with Subhadra and Baladev. All the pastimes with the gopis that take place in those gardens are very confidential ecstasies of Lord Krishna. No one knows them. Text 126. Since there is no fault at all in Krishna's pastimes, why does the goddess of fortune become angry? Text 127. Swarup Damodar replied, it is the nature of a girl afflicted by love to become immediately angry upon finding any neglect on the part of her lover. 128. While Swarup Damodar and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were talking, the procession of the goddess of fortune came by. She was riding upon a golden palanquin carried by 4 men and bedecked with variety of jewels. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamara whisks, and fans. The palanquin was also surrounded by people carrying umbrellas, chamara whisks, and flags, and it was preceded by musicians and dancing girls. The maidservants were carrying water pitchers, chamara whisks, and boxes for betel nuts. There were hundreds of maidservants, all attractively dressed and wearing valuable necklaces. Text 131. In an angry mood, the goddess of fortune arrived at the main gate of the temple, accompanied by many members of her family, all of whom exhibited uncommon opulence. When the procession arrived, the maidservants of the goddess of fortune began to arrest all the principal servants of Lord Jagannath. Text 133. The maidservants bound the servants of Jagannath, handcuffed them, and made them fall down at the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune. Indeed, they were arrested, just like thieves who have all their riches taken away. Purport. When Lord Jagannath starts his car festival, he gives assurance to the goddess of fortune that he will return the next day. When he does not return, the goddess of fortune, after waiting 2 or 3 days, begins to feel that her husband has neglected her. She naturally becomes quite angry. Gorgeously decorating herself and her associates, she comes out of the temple and stands before the main gate. All the principal servants of Lord Jagannath are then arrested by her maidservants, brought before her, and forced to fall down at her lotus feet. Text 134. When the servants fell down before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, they almost fell unconscious. They were chastised and made the butt of jokes and loose language. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates saw such impudence exhibited by the maidservants of the goddess of fortune, they covered their faces with their hands and began to smile. Swarup Damodar said, "There is no egoistic pride like this within the 3 worlds. At least I have never seen or heard of it." Text 137. When a woman is neglected and disappointed, out of egoistic pride, she gives up her ornaments and morosely sits down on the ground, marking lines on it with her nails. I have heard of this kind of pride in Satyabhama, Krishna's proudest queen, and I have also heard of it in the gopis of Vrindavan, who are the reservoirs of all transcendental mellows. But in the case of the goddess of fortune, I see a different kind of pride. She manifests her own opulences and even goes with her soldiers to attack her husband. Purport. After seeing the impudence of the goddess of fortune, Swarup Damodar Goswami wanted to inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the super excellence of the gopis' loving affairs. He therefore said, "My Lord, I have never experienced anything like the behavior of the goddess of fortune. We sometimes see a beloved wife becoming proud of her position and then frustrated due to some neglect. She then gives up caring for her appearance, accepts dirty clothes, and morosely sits on the ground and draws lines with her nails. We have heard of such egoistic pride in Satyabhama and the gopis of Vrindavan. But what we see in the goddess of fortune here at Jagannath Puri is completely different. She becomes very angry with her husband and attacks him with her great opulence." Text 140. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Please tell me of the varieties of egoistic pride manifested in Vrindavan." Swarup Damodar replied, "The pride of the gopis is like a river flowing with hundreds of tributaries. The characteristics and modes of love are different in different women. Their jealous anger also takes on different varieties and qualities. It is not possible to give a complete statement about the different types of jealous anger manifest by the gopis, but a few principles may serve as an indication. There are 3 types of women experiencing jealous anger: sober women, restless women, and women both restless and sober. When a sober heroine sees her hero approaching from a distance, she immediately stands up to receive him. When he comes near, she immediately offers him a place to sit. The sober heroine conceals her anger within her heart and externally speaks sweet words. When her lover embraces her, she returns his embrace. The sober heroine is very simple in her behavior. She keeps her jealous anger within her heart, but with mild words and smiles, she rejects the advances of her lover. The restless heroine, however, sometimes chastises her lover with cruel words, sometimes pulls his ear, and sometimes binds him up with a flower garland. Text 148. The heroine who has a combination of sobriety and restlessness always jokes with equivocal words. She sometimes praises her lover, sometimes blasphemes him, and sometimes remains indifferent. 149. Heroines may also be classified as captivated, intermediate, and impudent. The captivated heroine does not know very much about the cunning intricacies of jealous anger. 150. The captivated heroine simply covers her face and goes on crying. When she hears sweet words from her lover, she is very satisfied. Text 151. Both the intermediate and impudent heroines can be classified as sober, restless, and both sober and restless. All their characteristics can be further classified in 3 divisions. Text 152. Some of these heroines are very talkative, some are mild, some are equipoised. Each heroine, according to her own character, increases Sri Krishna's loving ecstasy. 153. Although some of the gopis are talkative, some mild, and some equipoised, all of them are transcendental and faultless. They please Krishna by their unique characteristics. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt unlimited happiness upon hearing these descriptions. He again and again requested Swarup Damodar to continue speaking. Damodar Goswami said, "Krishna is the master of all transcendental mellows and the taster of all transcendental mellows. And his body is composed of transcendental bliss." Text 156. Krishna is full of ecstatic love and always subordinate to the love of his devotees. The gopis are very much experienced in pure love and in the dealings of transcendental mellows. There is no flaw or adulteration in the love of the gopis. Therefore, they give Krishna the highest pleasure. Purport. Rasa bhasa occurs when one's relationship with Krishna is adulterated. There are different types of rasa bhasa: first class, second class, and third class. The word rasa means mellow, and abhasa means a shadow. If one tastes one kind of mellow and something extra is imposed, that is uparasa. If something is derived from the original mellow, it is called anurasa. If something is appreciated that is far removed from the original mellow, it is called aparasa. So you've got uparasa, anurasa, and aparasa. The uparasa is when one tastes a kind of mellow and then something else is imposed upon it. If something is derived from the original mellow, it is called anurasa. And if something is appreciated that is far removed from the original mellow, it is called aparasa. Uparasa, anurasa, and aparasa are respectively first, second, and third class rasa basas. It is stated in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 4.9, 1 and 2. Purvam eva nushishtena vikala rasa lakshana rasa eva rasa bhasa rasagyaya anukirtitaha syus tripo padashas cha nu rashas cha padashas chate utama madhyamak prokta kanishtas chetyami kramat. So that's just the Sanskrit description of what we just heard about the three kinds of rasa basa. Text 158. Lord Sri Krishna, who is the absolute truth, enjoyed his rasa dance every night during the autumn season. He performed this rasa, he performed this dance in the moonlight and with full transcendental mellows. He used poetic words and surrounded himself with women who were very much attracted to him. Purport. This verse is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-25. The gopis are all transcendental spirit souls. One should never think that the gopis and Krishna have material bodies. Vrindavan Dham is also a spiritual abode, and there the days and nights, the trees, flowers, and water, and everything else are spiritual. There is not even a trace of material contamination. Krishna, who is the supreme Brahman and super soul, is not at all interested in anything material. His activities with the gopis are all spiritual and take place within the spiritual world. They have nothing to do with the material world. Lord Krishna's lusty desires and all his dealings with the gopis are on the spiritual platform. One has to be transcendentally realized before even considering relishing the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. One who is on the mundane platform must first purify himself by following the regulative principles. Only then can he try to understand Krishna and the gopis. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar Goswami are here talking about the relationship between Krishna and the gopis. Therefore, the subject matter is neither mundane nor erotic. Being a sannyasi, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict in his dealings with women. Unless the gopis were on the spiritual platform, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would have never even mentioned them to Swarup Damodar Goswami. Therefore, these descriptions should not at all pertain. Therefore, these descriptions do not at all pertain to material activity. The gopis can be divided into a left wing and a right wing. Both wings induced Krishna to taste transcendental mellows by various manifestations of ecstatic love. Text 160. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the chief. She is a jewel mine of ecstatic love and the source of all purified transcendental conjugal mellows. Text 161. Radharani is grown up, and her character is equipoised. She is always deeply absorbed in ecstatic love, and always feeling in the mood of a left-wing gopi. Purport. The left wing and right wing of the gopis have been explained by Rupa Goswami in his Ujjvala Nilamani, Sakhi Prakarana 26 and 32. The left wing is described in this way: Mana grahe siddho yukta tach chaitilye chakopana abedya nayake praya krura vamiti kirtyate. A gopi who was always eager to be jealously angered, who is very enthusiastic for that position, who immediately becomes angry when defeated, who is never under the control of a hero, and who always opposes him, is called a Vama, or left-wing gopi. Srila Rupa Goswami describes the right-wing gopis in this way: Ashaya manam nirbande nayake yuktavadini samabis tenabedyacha dakshina parikirtita. A gopi who cannot tolerate womanly anger, who speaks suitable words to the hero, and who is satisfied by his sweet words, is called a dakshina, or a right-wing gopi. 162. Because she is a left-wing gopi, her womanly anger is always awakening, but Krishna derives transcendental bliss from her activities. 163. The progress of loving affairs between a young boy and a young girl is by nature crooked, like the movement of a snake. Because of this, two types of anger arise between a young boy and girl: anger with a cause and anger without a cause. Purport. This is a quotation from Srila Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, Sringara Bheda Prakarana 102. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these talks, his ocean of transcendental bliss increased. He therefore told Surup Damodar, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." And thus Surup Damodar continued. 165. Srimati Radharani's love is a highly advanced ecstasy. All her dealings are completely pure and devoid of material tinge. Indeed, her dealings are 10 times purer than gold. 166. As soon as Radharani gets a chance to see Krishna, her body is suddenly decorated with various ecstatic ornaments. The transcendental ornaments of Srimati Radharani's body include the 8 sattvikas, or transcendental symptoms, the 33 vyabhichari bhavas, beginning with harsha, or jubilation in natural love, and the 20 bhavas, or ecstatic, emotional ornaments. Purport. The 33 vyabhichari bhavas manifest in ecstatic love are as follows: 1. Nirveda, indifference. 2. Vishada, moroseness. 3. Dainya, meekness. 4. Glani, a feeling that one is in a faulty position. 5. Shrama, fatigue. 6. Madha, madness. 7. Garva, pride. 8. Shanka, doubt. 9. Trasa, shock. 10. Avega, intense emotion. 11. Unmada, craziness. 12. Upasmara, forgetfulness. Vyadhi, disease. 14. Moha, bewilderment. 15. Mriti, death. 16. Alasya, laziness. 17. Jadya, invalidity. 18. Vridha, shame. 19. Avahita, concealment. 20. Smriti, remembrance. 21. Vitarka, argument. 22. Chinta, contemplation. 23. Mati, attention. 24. Driti, forbearance. 25. Harsha, jubilation. 26. Autsukya, eagerness. 27. Aurgya, violence. 28. Amarsha, anger. 29. Asuya, jealousy. 30. Chapalya, impudence. 31. Nidra, sleep. 32. Supti, deep sleep. And 33. Prabodha, awakening. Text 168. Some of these symptoms, critically explained in the following verses, are Kila Kinchita, Kutimita, Vilas, Lalita, Vivoka, Motayita, Maugya, and Chakita. 169. When Srimati Radharani's body manifests the ornaments of many ecstatic symptoms, the ocean of Krishna's happiness immediately displays transcendental waves. 170. Now hear the description of different ecstasies, beginning with Kila Kinchana, Kila Kinchita. With these ecstatic ornaments, Srimati Radharani enchants the mind of Krishna. Text 171. When Sri Krishna sees Srimati Radharani, he wants to touch her body. He prohibits her from going to the spot where one can cross the river Yamuna. Approaching her, Krishna prohibits Srimati Radharani from picking flowers. He may also touch her in front of her friends. At such times, the ecstatic symptoms of Kila Kinchita are awakened. First, there is jubilation in ecstatic love, which is the root cause of these symptoms. Purport. Whenever Srimati Radharani leaves her house, she is always well dressed and attractive. It is her womanly nature to attract Sri Krishna's attention, and upon seeing her so attractively dressed, Sri Krishna desires to touch her body. The Lord then finds some fault in her and prohibits her from going to a river crossing and stops her from picking flowers. Such are the pastimes between Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Being a cowherd girl, Srimati Radharani regularly carries milk in a container and often goes to sell the milk on the other side of the Yamuna. To cross the river, she has to pay the boatman, and the spot where the boatman collects his fares is called the Dhanagati. Lord Sri Krishna stops her from going, telling her, "First you have to pay the fee, then you will be allowed to go." This pastime is called Caitanya-caritämrta. Similarly, If Srimati Radharani wants to pick a flower, Sri Krishna claims to be the garden's proprietor and prohibitor. This pastime is called Kila Kinchita. Radharani's shyness arises due to Sri Krishna's prohibitions, and ecstatic loving bodily symptoms called Kila Kinchita Bhav are manifest at this time. These ecstatic symptoms are explained in the following verse, which is from Srila Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani, Anubhava Prakarana 39. Text 174. When pride, ambition, weeping, smiling, envy, fear, and anger are manifested simultaneously due to jubilation, this combination of symptoms is called Kila Kinchita Bhava. Pride, ambition, weeping, smiling, envy, fear, and anger. So you can tell when all of these things combine together, they make a kind of response that is so jubilant that one can't control oneself. Text 175. The combination of jubilation and the other 7 transcendental ecstatic symptoms is called Mahabhava. Text 176. The other 7 ingredients of Mahabhava are pride, ambition, fear, dry artificial crying, anger, envy, and mild smiling. Text 177. When the 8 symptoms of ecstatic love on the platform of transcendental jubilation combine and are tasted by Krishna, the Lord's mind is completely satisfied. Text 178. Indeed, they are compared to a combination of yogurt, candy, ghee, honey, black pepper, camphor, and cardamom, which when mixed together are very tasty and sweet. 179. Lord Sri Krishna is thousands upon thousands of times more satisfied when he sees Srimati Radharani's face light up from this combination of ecstatic love than he is by direct union with her. Purport. This is further explained in the following verse from the Ujjvala Nilamani, Anubhava Prakarana 4 of Srila Rupa Goswami. May the sight of Srimati Radharani's Kila Kinchita ecstasy, which is like a bouquet, bring good fortune to all. When Sri Krishna blocked Radharani's way to the Dhangati, there was laughter within her heart. Her eyes grew bright, and fresh tears flowed from her eyes, reddening them. Due to her sweet relationship with Krishna, her eyes were enthusiastic, and when her crying subsided, she appeared even more beautiful. Text 181. Agitated by tears, Srimati Radharani's eyes were tinged with red, just like the eastern horizon at sunrise. Her lips began to move with jubilation and lusty desire. Her eyebrows curved, and her lotus-like face smiled mildly. Seeing Radharani's face exhibit such emotion, Lord Sri Krishna felt 1,000,000 times happier than when he embraced her. Indeed, Lord Sri Krishna's happiness is not at all mundane. This is a quotation from the Govinda Lilamrita 9:18. Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy, and being absorbed in this happiness, he embraced Swarup Damodar Goswami. Text 183. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked of the ecstatic ornaments decorating the body of Srimati Radharani, by which she enchants the mind of Sri Govinda. And we'll read that verse tomorrow and go on with these ecstatic explanations of the qualities and emotions that enliven Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Radha and Krishna ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Okay. Any reflections or points that came out that devotees want to discuss or reflect upon, inquire about? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
There's a question from Krishna Premavati Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Premavati Devidasi.
She's asking, is there a play called Jagannath Vallabha?
Yes. It's by Ramananda Roy, I think. What else? Hare Krishna.
Shantarupa Devi Dasi says, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Doctors Partha Sumitra Roy.
Partha
Sumitra.
Partha Sumitra Roy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Gurudev. And from Gopakanya, Hare Krishna dear Maharaj, Jai Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Rati Manjari says, Jai Guru Maharaj, daily victorious.
Yes, now we get a little taste in this section of what the glorification of Prabhupada, of the Caitanya-caritämrta was about. He said it was the perfect Shastra.
And from Saloni Sachi Sundari, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai, glories to Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your divine service, all glories to the Vaishnavas who are listening to the nectar of CC. Krishna Premavati also said, Hare Krishna Maharaj and assembled devotees.
Hari Bo.
For some reason I get no notification even though I indicated for it when you were going online.
For some reason you get no indication? I don't understand.
You get no notification when we go online. Sometimes it'll notify people on their Facebook page if they opt in for it.
I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? Explain what she's... I don't understand.
Yeah, like for the page every time we start the reading, if somebody chooses to, automatically when we go live, it'll notify them.
Oh, I see. But sometimes she doesn't get that notification.
Yeah, apparently not.
Hey, Facebook isn't perfect. The pastimes of the Lord are, but Facebook isn't.
This is from Shyamaju Dasi.
Samaju.
Says, thank you for the classes. We miss you so much.
Well, I don't like to call them classes because I'm just reading Prabhupada's books. You can say I'm trying to let Srila Prabhupada speak for himself mainly, and if someone needs some further understanding or explanation, I try to be the peon and just deliver the mail to the devotees with the ecstasies of hearing, chanting inside the envelope.
And from Roy Kanu Devi Dasi.
Jai Rayakano Haribo.
Says, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
It's very nice to hear all of these devotees that they listen and appreciate. We're making so much advancement by hearing these things together. I'll bring out a point. There was one purport where it's described very clearly that we don't want to imitate the Gauranga Nagaris who take these descriptions of the transcendental expressions of love between Krishna and the gopis literally in the sense that they try to imitate them and they put Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the center. So this is very dangerous because it will make our hearts and minds, it will mislead us into thinking that the kinds of emotions that go on in the dealings between ordinary men and women, boys and girls, are the same. In the material world, these kinds of exchanges, shyness and anger and all the different kinds of, things that go on between, boys and girls or men and women that are having loving affairs, they're simply, perverted reflections of what's going on in the spiritual world. So we should never, ever compare them. But they are attractive because they're the original relationship, Adi Rasa. Radha and Krishna relationship is called the Adi Rasa, conjugal relationship. And it's imitated in so many ways in the material world, and then people try to relish it by writing dramas and poetry and movies and in so many ways acting it out in their daily lives. And the result is they become degraded. And we can see the world, what's the result? It's completely agitated. But these pastimes between Radha and Krishna and the gopis are completely transcendental. They have nothing to do with mundane emotions, nothing to do with mundane feelings and exchanges. There's much more to say about them than that, but it's important that we do say that, so we don't take them lightly and try to imitate them with one another, and thereby causing serious offense and being unable to go forward in our Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
From Amal Jadav.
Amal Jadav.
I feel so fortunate to hear the ecstatic explanation of pure transcendental Leelas. Thank you, dear Master.
Hare Krishna.
One humble request. The Adik Purushottam Mas is starting day after tomorrow. Please tell us something about how to follow.
I don't know anything about these things. All I do is continue to hear and chant about Krishna's pastimes, because I know that if I do that, then I'll be able to follow the Purushottam Mas properly. I'm not so much into the details of rituals and different kinds of austerities, extra austerities you can perform, because I'm 100% convinced that the hearing of the Gita and the Bhagavatam and Caitanya-caritämrta and the holy names of the Lord are the ultimate austerity, the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate expression of proper appreciation and relish. And what happens is, when you do those things in the Purushottam Mas, then the appreciation increases, the advancement increases. So if we're already doing the topmost transcendental thing, then why should we do anything else? We just do those things during Purushottam Mas and get the topmost pleasure from doing them. Best thing to do is to have Harinam Kirtan, Sankirtan, both chanting the holy name congregationally and hearing the holy scriptures in this way, and chanting japa with great attention. And we may want to chant more and hear more. That's our Purushottam Mas Vrat. When Vaisheshika Prabhu and I have been doing this in Kartik, every Kartik for like the last 19 years, and we do this same thing I'm doing here right now, 5 hours a day for the whole month. And that's the topmost austerity, or topmost thing you can do. The only thing to do more than that then is to taste deeper and more, and relish more and more. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Premavati Devidasi says, such amazing descriptions, I am lost for words.
Yes. It's what we're looking for in the material world. When we're trying to get it by having some kind of mundane loving affairs with one another, but we can't get it. It results in catastrophes of all descriptions. Whereas in the spiritual world, it results in more and more increased ecstasy, more and more, unlimitedly. So we should never compare them. Never compare the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis and their loving affairs and the affairs of the material world. Never compare them. If we get agitated sexually by hearing these things, then we should stop. Not that we should stop altogether, but if while we are hearing them we feel ourselves getting sexually agitated or disturbed, then we should just stop. So it will degrade the whole situation. But at the same time, if we don't feel agitated like that, if we can hear them simply and purely and innocently from the right source, in which Srila Prabhupada is definitely the right source, then we become free from that agitation. This is actually the method for becoming free from sexual agitation, is to hear the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis in the proper mood from the proper person. And that's the test, if we're hearing properly, because the mundane, lusty counterpart is purified. Hare Krishna.
This is from Tarun.
Tarun, we're feeling separation. Where are you?
He says, thank you, Maharaj, for distributing the nectar.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Tarun. Keep up the good work.
Roy Kanu Devidasi says, Dear Maharaj, I am in London now.
Oh, well, Hare Krishna. Are you visiting relatives?
Amal Jadav says, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mal Jadav. Okay, time's flying. Tomorrow's Thursday. And then the weekend's coming up. And I think we will have the studio all ready to take it for a test drive and also take pictures of it and send it out to all of you so you can see where we're going to record these eternal and powerful shastras, make them into audiobooks for the BBT. So then on Monday morning I go to Hereford, and I have to have a morning, what do we call it, a swab test for COVID. And then a week from today, we go for the first surgery. And hopefully we can keep up the readings while I'm up there, except maybe a couple of days I'll be missing for sure while I'm in the hospital. When I come out, I don't know. I don't know how long it'll take before we can sit and read like this. But as soon as I can, we'll be back. But we have a few days left, Hare Krishna. We don't want to dwell there.
Roy Kanu Devidasi says, I am waiting for apply stay in UK by BNO visa.
She's waiting for a...
Apply stay in UK. I am waiting for apply stay in UK by BNO visa.
I see. Oh, that's a special visa that is allowed for residents of Hong Kong. Yeah. Okay, but we hope you're successful. Hare Krishna. When I get through these all these surgeries and everything, then we'll be able to see each other probably, hopefully. Okay, everyone, I'm going to go now. I've got a lot of things to do between now and Monday, and still tying up loose ends. So please have a nice night and a nice day, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Sorry, one thing really quickly. Sorry. This is from Gopakanya. She says, tomorrow is the Vyasa Puja of my Gurudev Sri Bhakti Charu Swami. I am filled with mixed emotions. Please bless me, dear Maharaj.
Well, The blessing is the following of the Vani, the following of the instructions. So I know that Srila Bhakti Maharaj was very much attached to hearing and chanting about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Radha and Krishna and the pastimes of Navadvip and Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan. So the thing I would say is to absorb yourself in these pastimes, and that will please him very much. The Vani is more important than the Vapu. We know about this because we've been without the Vapu of Srila Prabhupada for many, many years, more than 40 years. So we empathize and feel what you're saying deeply, but the relief comes by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the devotees of the Lord. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same place, same time, same subject matter. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.